Hello! So, today we're going to talk about one thing that's really essential for landscape photography. Before I talk about that, I just wanted to set the scene first of all. So, my friend Matthew and I had driven in the night to the wonderful Llyn y Fan in Wales. And this place is really beautiful to walk. It's in the Black Mountains. Really quite easy on a lovely day, but quite often it's caught me out in terms of wind and weather. And that day was not an exception to the rule. So we got there and it just got more and more and more brutal as we got further up the mountain. So as we arrived in the car park, it was fine, and we thought, let's not bring all our gear with us, it'll be fine, too much weight. So off I went, and I can tell you now, I'm never doing this again. So got up to the mountain, and this was the view. So this is the first shot I took, with the sun gently rising over Llyn y Fan Fach, and to the right hand side you'll see this bank of cloud, and the bank of cloud, I thought, okay, it'll probably burn off, it'll be fine, we'll just carry on and do the whole horseshoe and then come down again. And boy, was I wrong. So coming to the point of this video, the number one thing that I think that you need as a landscape photographer is resourcefulness. You need to be able to think on your feet, change and adapt, and make the most of what you've got out there. So this cloud came over completely, everything was completely wiped out. Basically, to the extent where we couldn't see any further than about possibly 20 feet. So I thought, right, well, number one, we can't make a video, so I'll make a video when I get home, as I am now. Secondly, can't take a photograph of the beautiful grand vista that's out there to be seen. So you've just got to look around and see what's there. And there's this beautiful rock. Just notice the line kind of cutting through it, starting on the path on the left-hand side and then taking you through to the end of the path on the right-hand side. And the textures and the surfaces on that rock and the grass around it. I'm not normally one for photographing grass, but the grass that day was so characterful and contrasty and interesting. So then I started, the landscape gets quite barren up there. There's not that much up there. And I thought, at that point, I was going a little bit kind of, down in the dumps. I thought, Austin, get with it, be resourceful, look around you. So I started looking at tiny things like cracks and puddles and pieces of ice. And this is a shot that I took, just focusing on that contrast and that texture and trying to get a bit of context in there of that white cloud coming in. The next shot almost reminded me of a kind of footprint. And this is beautiful kind of ice shapes and formations. Nothing that fantastical, but it's finding that every day. It's finding things that are where you are, that are beautiful, regardless of the experience you're having and the conditions you're going for. I think the conditions, we rely a lot as landscape photographers on certain conditions, and when you don't have them, you don't have them. You've got to make the most of it. So as the sun was starting to slowly get a little bit higher, literally for about 30 seconds, Matthew and I had this view of this vista of the side of Llyn y Fan, and I took this shot here. With this shot, I was trying to concentrate on the three lines, well, the kind of four lines, if you like, the side line of the mountain, and then the cliff of the mountain, and the other two hills going off into the distance. Again, I was almost using the mist to frame the shot, so resourcefulness wherever you can. The conditions were definitely not perfect. You couldn't stand with a camera with your gloves off, even wearing fingerless, for longer than a minute because your hands would really feel like they're falling off. It was roughly about 70 mile an hour winds, roughly about -5 wind chill. It was brutal. So then we went over to Fan Foal, which is the next part of the walk, and it got even worse. It got whiter, it got thicker, the wind got stronger because there's less cover there. It is literally completely exposed at this point. So then I was just looking at contrast, and contrast has always been my friend in art and photography. I love it. I was doing a talk recently at a photographers club, and one of the audience said that I've noticed there's always a lot of contrast in everything you do. And I didn't show the images with the intention of getting that response, but I suddenly thought, yeah, no, there is. It comes a lot from my inspiration with Japanese ink painting, and from from contrast within painting. I love contrast and tone and texture, and how the interplay works within the composition. It almost makes the composition black and white, just like this image and this next image here. Now this was taken on the side of Fan Four, which is a beautiful wild swimming lake, incidentally. In the summer, it's absolutely top spot to swim. Probably not in February, -5. But again, I have full respect for people when they say, you know, bring out the shadows, bring out those highlights, work on your histogram. I get that. But I love contrast in my work, because contrast helps delineate space and shape. And with this image, what I was looking at is that little slither of water against the contrast of the land and the sky. And that's what I wanted to really bring about in this image. Now, I can safely say that none of these images were ones that I was intending on taking. I thought I was going to get a completely different set of weather. The forecast was completely wrong for the day. But it is about being open-minded. It's about being resourcefulness to that particular area, going with the character of the area and getting the most out of it, even if you can only get your camera out of your bag for 30 seconds at a time. I think it's really, really important to think about your settings, think about your composition, and think about what you can achieve with the conditions that you've got. So, I hope you enjoyed this brief video, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.